case you don't know, because you haven't well prepared for our presentation tonight, we are going to be talking about two exceptional women. We're talking about Shayla Niles from Oak Harbor and her mentor in Toastmasters, Mary Jo Strain. But I'm going to introduce her in a minute. What I wanted to say is, when I joined Toastmasters in September of 2014, I was in Oak Harbor. I joined that club because I was living there at the time, and it was about the time that Shayla Niles got involved. Now, Shayla Niles is a very special young woman. She's courageous. She was born with social anxiety. Well, she was born and raised with social anxiety, and when she headed towards school, she had what is known as selective mutism, which means that she did not speak. To overcome that, she worked very, very hard. When she entered Toastmasters, about the time that I did, she would not say a word in our meetings. I think it was last fall, I think in November, which is about a year after she joined, she did a presentation for TED Talks that was filmed, and you have a link to that. It is a spectacular turnaround. And I want you to know that Mary Jo Strain held her hand literally and made it happen. It was a spectacular thing. You all would have been flabbergasted by the level of commitment, the work that they did together to make that happen. And I am proud to have seen that process through. To introduce Mary Jo Strain, I want you to know that she has been an active member in the Whitby Sounders Toastmasters Club in Oak Harbor since 2010. She did not have selective mutism, but she's come a long, long way, and now she is really a pushy speaker. Since then, she has joined 3 clubs. She's joined the Toastmasters Extraordinary, which is an advanced club that meets in Edmonds, I think once a month. She is a member of the South Whitby Sound-Off Club, which she helped to charter. She's really taken a leadership role. And recently, last month, she is joining our new Advanced Speakers Club up here, which is the Northwest Advanced Toastmasters, which meets in Burlington and Ferndale, and I understand she's going to be to Toastmaster at that next meeting. Before joining Toastmasters, Mary Jo wouldn't dare to step up to a leadership role. She didn't have the skills. I'm reading from her introduction. I didn't write this. There are some quotes here. A quote, "I love to learn," Mary Jo says. "I enjoy learning all the skills of a good leader needs to make an impact. Critical thinking, organization, time management." This is a quote. "And my kids always say, 'Mom, you're so bossy.' Hopefully as a leader, I can use some of my bossiness and make good use of that." Another very important leadership skill is mentoring, which is the topic Mary Jo will be presenting on tonight. And the title of her speech is How to Energize Your Toastmaster Experience. Please welcome Mary Jo Strain, an exceptional woman.
Last October, I received a text message. It read, "I can bring one person. I choose you." That was a text message from my mentee, Shayla Niles. I was so excited that she asked me to go, but I was worried because she could only pick one person. So I immediately contacted her mother and said, "Is this okay?" She reassured me it was fine, because when Shayla asked her who she should invite, her mom said, "Pick the person that you feel would support you the most at this event." On November 6th, a month later, I was there in the audience watching Shayla give her TEDx speech to over 700 people. She was flawless. I am flabbergasted that not all of you watched the YouTube video that Patrick sent you of Shayla's speech. But I'm sure you will watch it after tonight. In the video, what you won't see is at the end of her speech, the crowd just jumped to their feet and gave her a standing ovation. I couldn't believe my eyes. Shayla didn't see it because she scurried off the stage right after it was done out of nervousness. Thankfully, the MC, the professional that she was, brought Shayla out to center stage. She had her arm around her. She made sure Shayla was comfortable. And then the MC stepped back and let Shayla enjoy that magical moment. When Shayla first joined Toastmasters, as John mentioned, she could hardly speak. She has, as John mentioned, a condition called selective mutism. And with selective mutism, if that's something you have, you can speak in certain situations, like with your family and friends, but in other situations, such as school or work, you can't say a word. As Shayla puts it, it feels like her throat is just closing up. While mentoring a new member is very rewarding and fun, I want to talk tonight about mentoring an existing member. I feel that this is a part of the Toastmasters program that is totally not even thought of. How many people know that in the back of your competent leadership manual, you can get a sign-off for mentoring an existing member? How many people have gotten that signed off? Congratulations. I was the VP of my club. Not one person got signed off for that. Mentoring an existing member is something that will really turn your club around. I witnessed this firsthand at my advanced club, the Extraordinaires, where we had a speaker one of our members spoke. And then right on the spot, one of our other members mentored them, or I'll say coached them, about the speech. They had 15 minutes to take his suggestions, he actually had to rewrite some of the speech, and he did get a lot of suggestions. And I was like, that's not something I could do in 15 minutes. But he got up there, implemented those suggestions, and it was a completely different speech. It was so powerful. I said, oh, this is what we need. We need to be mentored by each other. I realize that mentoring will not only empower the person that you're helping, but it will benefit the club greatly. It'll do this by retaining members. I think we've all, if you've been members for a while, you sort of get stagnant. You know, you definitely make an improvement from when you first come into Toastmasters, like Shayla did. But then we get to that level, we hit a plateau, and we just stay there. So I think if we're mentored by our other members, it will bring our speeches to another level. It will keep you engaged more. You'll feel like you're progressing more than you have in a while. I came up with this idea to how to implement it an easier way to implement mentoring your existing members. How about if, whenever you have a speech, your assigned evaluator mentors you for that speech? Before the speech, before you come up to do the speech, the Toastmaster has the evaluator come up and explain to the group what the two of you worked on. So then you can see, like I did in my advanced club, instant reaction, what happens. You'll see them give the speech and what they worked on. After the speech, then the rest of the audience can evaluate the speaker on your little ballots there and say if you feel that they did improve in that area. And you'll see that if they did improve, that it may entice you to want to invite somebody to mentor you. I handed out these cards earlier. I made these up. I just came up with this idea. Maybe having mentor cards. So in the audience, when you do the evaluation on your little forms there, you could also fill this out. Say, you know what? I think they could be mentored on this in this certain area. And I also find that it's very difficult, at least for me, to really tell people in those little evaluations what I think they should work on. We've had members in our club for years, and I see them doing the same thing over and over, even though they've been written down in their evaluations. And I think having a mentor and having it written out that they want to specifically work on certain areas, it will go quicker and they will advance a lot quicker. And the speeches will be more interesting. Do you do speech-a-thons here? In our club, we do speech-a-thons because we meet on the second and fourth Tuesday. But if we meet on a fifth Tuesday, if there is a fifth Tuesday in a month, we meet and we make it a speech-a-thon night. So everybody that needs speeches, it's all we do is speeches, no table topics or anything else. So I thought you could have a mentor-thon night. You have 5 or 6 people come up, they explain what they got mentored on, they come up, they present their speech, and I think that would be fun to see how it worked out for them. In closing, I want to give you this call to action. Mentoring is one of the strongest things you can do in your club. As I mentioned, it'll help you retain members, it'll make the speeches more interesting, and you'll also have a big turnaround with guests to members, because when guests come to the club and see a higher level of speeches, it will make them more interested in joining your club. And someday you might get the text message, I choose you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Does anyone have questions for Mary Jo? Because if you don't, I do. Mary Jo, what was the progression of mentoring Shayla? Because she came in with selective mutism, and then within, a year, she was doing a TEDx talk. How did that happen?
Good question.
Good question. Shayla didn't tell me she had selective mutism until about the 3rd meeting. And when they assigned me as her mentor, I just thought she was just really shy. And I used to be real shy, so I thought, oh, okay, I can help her with this. But then when she told me she had selective mutism, and I looked it up, then I understood a lot more what I had to help with. And she found she was just diagnosed with it recently. It wasn't like she knew her whole life. So when she finally got that diagnosis, she was diagnosed with it, she was happy. She knew what she had, and now she was ready to move forward. And she joined Toastmasters, and she was a very proactive mentee. I was not the only one that mentored her. She sought out other people. Her TEDx speech, one of our members of the group worked on her gestures. So the gestures you see her use throughout the speech, he really helped her with. And she didn't do a speech. I told her, you don't have to do your icebreaker until you're ready. So it was quite a while before she did that. I had her try out the counter roll first. And that was very difficult for her. I should just read, you just have to read it. That's all, just read what it says. You don't have to ad-lib or anything. But Shayla is very perfectionistic, and she'll tell you that. She wanted to do it without looking at notes. So she did, and then as the meeting went on, she had to come back and give her report of the encounter. She couldn't do it. And I said, that's fine, it's okay, you don't have to do it. And our club was so supportive, and she felt that support all throughout the meetings, and she just kept persevering and just kept trying, even though she couldn't make it through some of her roles. It was okay because she trusted everybody.
And how many speeches was she up to before she did her TEDx talk?
I think 6. Yeah, only 6 speeches. Yeah, and she was volunteering at the library. Wasn't talking very much, so she would tell me her progress. I said, did you talk to anybody today? And she's like, oh, I said hi to one person. And then all of a sudden she came and she said, I'm going to sign up for a TEDx speech. I said, what? She said she Googled public speaking opportunities. And it was a TEDx speech given by the Snow Isle Library System where she was volunteering. So she contacted them, they interviewed her, they said, okay, you can do this. And it was amazing.
And what was she like before the TEDx talk, when she saw 700 people out there?
I was more nervous than her. Oh my gosh. We were in the green room before her talk, and they had her go on pretty early. I think she was the second speaker. And she's the only one that got a standing ovation and brought the house down. It was amazing. But in the green room, everybody was like us. They were so supportive of her because they had to practice her speeches several months ahead of time. And so they all got to know Shayla, and they were cheering her on, and they knew she could do it, and it was just a great support group for her. So she was pretty quiet about it. I brought her, to the stage when she was ready. I was backstage, and I said, okay, I'm going to go in the audience now. Are you okay? I got to get out there and watch this. So she's like, okay. As I watched her go off, I was like, I couldn't do this. No way.
Anyone else have other questions for Mary Jo?
Did she mention Toastmasters on the day of the TED Talk? Because a lot of people haven't seen that yet.
She did. She was in her speech. She was talking about how finally one day her life turned around, and she decided, and she joined Toastmasters. And the crowd started clapping, and it threw her off. So before she went on stage, we noticed the speaker before her. They had a stool there with water by the speaker. And when the speaker got a little lost in their speech, they went over and got a drink of water. And so I said, Shayla, do you want just in case? She goes, okay. So they put that out there for her. And you don't see that in the speech because they edited that out. But when they started clapping for her, she just lost her place. And she went and had her water. She came back and just went right on. It was amazing.
I think if you watch the video, it's pretty dramatic because she talks about selective mutism and how depressed she was and how her life wasn't going very well. And she said, I knew other people couldn't help me. The only person who could help me was myself. And then she stopped and she goes, so I joined Toastmasters. And the crowd just went nuts. That was pretty good. Michelle, you have a question?
Oh, when you talk about your speech-a-thon nights, how many speeches does that consist of?
We meet for an hour and a half, like our regular meeting, and it's 5 speeches and 5 evaluations.
And nothing else?
Nothing else. And they're great. It's fun.
Other question? Jim?
We talked earlier about Shayla's poetry in her prose. What I'd like to know is, she spoke so eloquently as if she had been public speaking for 100 years. And every line that she spoke, and if you watch the video, you'll notice that there is an element of poetry in every line. Can you tell me, or do you know what her background was in terms of reading or writing or whatever that brought her to this point?
Shayla has always wanted to be a writer, ever since she was little. And she's a very avid reader. Harry Potter is her favorite series. She reads those books over and over and over. But her true passion is writing. And she has a blog. She does a lot of writing on her blog. But that's what she wants to do, be a writer. Be a best-selling author, as you'll see in the TEDx talk.
Yeah.
How old is she? Shayla's 25.
And one thing you'll notice if you watch the video, you can tell she's in Toastmasters because she does use a lot of gestures, and she speaks really slow and deliberate, and it's very powerful, very powerful. And who put her speech together?
She did.
Okay.
She practiced the speech at our club a couple times. Then one time, like right before she was going to be doing the TEDx, it was like a week before. There were some things in there, and I thought, oh, she's got a couple of errors in there, grammatical errors, and I thought, should I mention it? And so I sent her a rewrite of what I thought she might want to change. And I said, but I know it's a week before. If you don't want to, fine, go with what you have. Don't want to upset anything. And she just went with what she had. And she, if you noticed, no filler words. She never, ever since she's been in the club, has used filler words because she talks slowly. And she thinks everything's scripted. She likes to have her script and memorize it and just talk from it. That's her style. But no filler words. It's amazing.
And I think that's important because her pace is very deliberate and it's slow and it really works. And I can see how she cannot have filler words, because a lot of times we have filler words because we speak too fast. But she speaks very deliberately. Other questions for Mary Jo? John?
I have a comment, and you're very modest. Mary Jo and the entire Oak Harbor Toastmasters Club did an amazing job. When Shayla was first starting out, if she would even just stand up, people were clapping and cheering to support her. They gave her the kind of support she needed, and you did hold her hand for months and took her everywhere and encouraged her, and it was, I hold you responsible. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes, Deb?
What do you mean by took her everywhere, John? Seriously.
She got picked up, she got brought to meetings, she got taken certain places, they went out and practiced, they did all kinds of things in public to just make her a little bit less socially anxious, as I know it. You may have a different story.
As a matter of fact, she gave her, the first time she did her icebreaker, she did it at the South Whitby Sound Off Club.
Mm-hmm.
We'd been practicing her speech, and I was going to go, I had a speech to give at the South Whitby Sound Off Club down in Freeland. So I said, Shayla, do you want to go with a guest? She goes, okay. And then I said, wait a minute. Do you want to do your speech? Because I thought maybe she'd be more comfortable in front of strangers. She said, okay. I was like, oh my gosh. So she talks very quietly, so I knew she needed a microphone. So I got a microphone from a local music store, speaker and a microphone. So we went down there, and I told the Toastmaster, change your plans, I'm not speaking, Shayla is. She got up there and she gave her speech, and I was amazed. And there she got a standing ovation, and people were crying. And then she gave the icebreaker at our club, same thing, standing ovation, people were crying. It's just very touching, because she's so vulnerable and just talks from the heart. So, and we practiced, I took her to our meetings on a Sunday, our club on a Sunday, and we practiced a speech, because I wanted her to get used to speaking in the same room.
Any last questions for Mary Jo? Anybody? All right, let's give Mary Jo a hand. All right, Jan is a new member of BET. He always thinks of BET as Black Entertainment Television, but that's a whole separate thing. And he's going to let you in on a little secret you already know. You already know. Please welcome up Jan Kernan.
First of all, thank you very much, Mary Jo. That was, I watched the video, and it really is amazing too. You can just feel the presence that Shayla has, and listening to you and watching the video really kind of gave me a little inspiration to take everything that next level deeper. You know, that's where the good stuff is when you go down and expose yourself, because when you expose yourself, everyone else sees it for themselves, so sees themselves in what you're doing. On the mentoring thing, I'm going to say a quick word there. One of the things that I've done a lot of mentoring, sort of at-risk youth and those kind of places. And one of the unspoken things about mentoring is what the mentor gets out of it, the leaps and bounds that you take and the challenges in assisting somebody else forward. So I think this club should really embrace that. Okay. Thank you for coming tonight. We've got a nice full room. And everybody, or almost everybody, wants some kind of change in their life. It can be some sort of external change, a better standard of living, a different group of people to hang out with, or it can be an internal change along the lines of a greater sense of accomplishment or joyousness, or maybe just a little bit more fun. What we learn over time is that just wanting a change and even trying to engage the process of getting that change doesn't mean that it's going to come about. So we end up in this place where there's this difference between the life that we're living, the outcome that we've created for ourselves, and where we want to be. And that gap, as big or narrow as it might be, creates some level of frustration. Now here's the good news. I honestly and deeply believe that that frustration we feel about that gap is coming from a deep, deep wisdom that we have. It's an intrinsic understanding that I, or you as a human being, have the capability to create that change. And the frustration comes from our own experience of having learned to walk, talk, ride a bike, be in one place and get to another in some process, and knowing it can be done, and seeing other people around you who may embody that thing that you desire, and again, intrinsically knowing that as a human being, they're not that different that you are. But something about you keeps coming back and keeps creating habits and routines that keep you in the life that you have, as good as it might be. And that's the key to it there, is the habits and routines that we have, that we engage every day, keep us in the life that we've created. Now those habits and routines are the outcome of something else. Those habits and routines are the outcome of the reactions that we have to our environment on a moment-to-moment, second-to-second basis. And those reactions that we have, we formed a long time ago to deal with an environment that probably isn't as similar to the one that we're in now as it would be helpful to be. So the key to this thing that everybody on the planet wants, which is some kind of change, something better for themselves, which I again think humans are intrinsically driven to try to create, is to know your own responses to the environment that you're in. And that takes the discipline of stillness. Because the only place you're going to get to know yourself well enough and how you react to the world around you in an automated way that you really don't think about or consider on a moment-to-moment basis, that builds those habits and routines, that has created the outcome that you have, that you now want something different around, is to be still. And to start to experience those reactions. And to start to see how automated they really are in your life. Once you have an experience around knowing your reactions, and you build a discipline that allows you to continue to see and know those reactions instead of being them over a prolonged period of time, doors of understanding and opportunity start to open for you. There's a lot of different language around this out there. Being present is a big one. Being authentic leader. It's the process of creating a little bit of a pause before you go to whatever that next stage is. So, after this speech, or tonight, later at home, I encourage you all to just take a moment of stillness. It doesn't have to be long. At work, it can be as simple as touching your desk for a second and drawing your attention to the tactile thing that triggers your brain away from the thoughts for a moment. But take a moment of stillness. and start to begin the process of knowing yourself so that you can then create what it is you really want, or maybe discover what it is you really want in the process. Thank you.
So I'd like to invite up our only evaluator for our first speaker, Jan Kernan. Please welcome up Sarah Valeos.
Well, I'm not going to be mean. I don't have much to say that's mean. I want to say thank you, Jan, for a really deep speech. It actually hits on a lot of things that I've been thinking about, because every year when tax time rolls around, I spend hours on the computer wasting time preparing my taxes. And if I had just done 5 or 10 minutes every day, I would hit print and I'd have a report at the end of the year. So habits are very important to think about. So thank you for talking about this, going a little bit deeper on this topic, and really making us think about our habits. I do have feedback for you, though I think you do a wonderful speech. I think these are things that will just improve your speech. So first off, though this wasn't part of your speech, at the beginning you were saying a thank you, and there was a tail part there, which I thought was fantastic. You said thank you, because I really appreciate Mary Jo being here. There is a section there where you kind of slurred your words together, and I couldn't understand you as well. You rushed through it a little bit, so I picked up on that. For me, and here I'm doing this, but when you were standing behind the podium and with your pen, I found the pen a little bit distracting. And also, you seem so comfortable on the stage in front of people that having you behind the podium felt a little bit restricted to me, like it wasn't letting you fully come out and just be your full self and give us everything that you had. Because I can tell that you have a lot in there to offer beyond just the words and the wisdom. And moving into that, you have a very soothing voice, and it resonates well in the room, and I enjoy listening to it. But when you're bringing up the different points of your speech and you really want to drive something home, I would suggest that perhaps you raise your voice a little bit. So when you mentioned that maybe you take a moment of stillness and change your habits, at the end of your speech, you might just say, take a moment of stillness. Think about how you can change your habits. And just go from that kind of relaxing, calm tone and wake us up a little bit. Get us a little bit more engaged. We're already interested, you've already drawn us in, so just get us in there just a little bit more with the engagement. And other than that, I really thought you did a fantastic job. I don't know if you'll notice when I said that, I paused a little bit longer. And so there were some spots with what you were talking about with the moments of stillness. I just thought that, I noticed you paused. You could maybe even pause a little bit longer. And again, just drive that point home a little bit more. Because what you had to say, you said really well. It's really important, I think. All of us have something in our life that we're probably thinking of right now, or when Jan did his fantastic speech, going, oh yeah, probably I shouldn't wait till the last minute to get gas in my car, or I wouldn't be late to this meeting, because if I just did it last night. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, and very well done.
Thank you.